Hello, everyone. Welcome to this very, very special AMA. I'm here joined by our fifth knight, who is also the CEO of Antler, co-founder of ZALORA, and the CAO of the Global Fashion Group, and our fifth knight, yes, Magnus Grimeland. Welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here. Very exciting.
Hey, Magnus.
Great to have you.
Good to see you
Great
again.
to have you, really. So, Magnus, if people who aren't aware of who you are and the accolades and golden CV that you got, just let everyone know a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so great to meet everyone. I'm from Norway originally, grew up there on the countryside, and actually, as I was lighting up our fireplace, I read this article about unrivaled colleges, which is a school that brings people together all across the globe. And I went to Atlantic College in Wales, which is at this fantastic castle on the Bristol Channel, where you have people from 82 nations meeting together, doing the IB. So I did my high school there, which was brilliant. Went back to Norway to serve in the military. I was in the Naval Special Forces in the Norwegian Navy SEALs called Marinekommandoen. And later went to Harvard for college. It was really interesting times because you had the dot-com boom and bust in the US, and subsequent to that, around kind of 2002, 3, 4, 5, a lot of really great companies were being built in technology. We obviously had Facebook come out of campus, so I got very excited about building, innovating technology and the impact it could have on the world. So left Harvard to join McKinsey, literally to work with tech companies all across the world, which was very, very interesting. Worked with the entire value chain from semiconductor companies to chip manufacturers to consumer electronics companies, media companies, and so on. Saw the tremendous opportunity of the tech ecosystem in Asia growing insanely fast, and e-commerce was just about to hit the region hard, and I left to set up ZALORA.com, which is the biggest fashion e-commerce business now in the region. We sold that back in 2015 to Global Fashion Group. Global Fashion Group later IPO'd in Frankfurt. It was also the first time I started working a bit in the blockchain industry. So it's been now about 7-8 years or so. Saw the potential of the technology, helped the first few companies, made the first few investments. And subsequent to that, a lot of the people we had hired and trained, and a lot of the people who were part of building up ZALORA ended up building some of the biggest companies in Southeast Asia. So we obviously have Chris Feng leading and building up Shopee. You have Nadeem and Kevin who built Gojek. You have Michele Ferrario who built Stashaway. Probably some people on this stream doesn't know these companies, but they're huge companies. A couple of them are $20 billion plus companies. And we got excited about backing the next generation great founders. So that's why we set up Antler. We really want to work with incredible people in building their next company. We don't tend to think that we can predict the future, but we can find exceptional people who are building the future. So what we do in Antler is, we just look at finding exceptional founders, backing them from day zero. We invest from pre-seed up to Series C, so we can put up to 20-30 million in a company over a few different steps. And we expanded Antler now all across the globe. So we have offices in about 30 locations across 6 continents. I'm actually right now in Rio de Janeiro, meeting a tremendous amount of really amazing founders at the Web Summit here. And we have the pleasure now working with thousands of founders every year, backing about 500 new companies a year, and have become the world's largest investor in founders who want to build companies from scratch. And very excited to be part of this program. And obviously the blockchain Web3 space has tremendous potential. I think we're just seeing the very start of it. Obviously a few $1 trillion in in value will be created in this space over the next few years, and on top of building infrastructure that will make the world a better place and solve very important problems. We are particularly interested in people who are building infrastructure in the space. We made a number of investments into really great companies that are doing that, and with that, it's always necessary when a new technology comes, right? You see the same thing in AI now. A lot of focus is going into building the infrastructure, whether it's the data layer or it's the compute infrastructure or the chip manufacturers or the general models, and over time, amazing, hundreds, if not thousands of billion-dollar plus companies will build applications on top of that infrastructure. So we're very excited about being a small part of building the infrastructure within blockchain in the companies that we back, in the founders that we back, and look forward to seeing some tremendous projects over the next few weeks and months that we can back. So great to be here and excited to contribute.
And Magnus, come on, man, you got to send some projects over for the show. I just want the best of the best, right? The ones that do 100x, just send us those. That's it. Not asking for okay?
Not too much to ask, right?
Not too much. Just a few, maybe like 10 or 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I really think that any exceptional founder should definitely aim to build something that can have global or regional impact. So excited to share some of them.
Yeah. I mean, like, especially those projects, like, I think so Magnus and I met at his office. Okay. I went to his office just last week. Was it last week? Time flies. There's so much going on.
Yeah, it was last week or the week before. Yeah,
it was last week.
I went to Brazil.
I can't remember, right? He was in Singapore, now he's in Brazil. So we met. His office is amazing. It's just so much activity. There's a cafe in front. I was getting lost. I was like, where is this office? I see a cafe there. And I was like, his office has a literal cafe right in front, And we went to the back.
A cafe at the bar at night. Yeah.
It's a bar at night. Then why you
got a nighttime joke.
So he told me during the day, right? He just didn't want me to have any drinks. Okay, I get it, Magnus. I get it. Okay. Then we went to the back behind the cafe, and there's this whole like kind of auditorium thing, and the whole bunch of startups sitting there. It's like kind of layered up and listening to somebody giving some kind of a masterclass on how to do this, how to be a killer project. And like, okay, this is really interesting. There's so much activity going on. Antler, I didn't know. Right? There's so much amazing stuff. And you get to see these guys working so hard. So I'm sure Magnus has got some really good projects, perfect for the show. I'm quite excited
Awesome.
about
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Great to hear. And we have now 27 of them across Africa, Asia, Europe, and South America, and the US. So also very excited to meet the number of great founders we can back going forward.
It's amazing, really. How does Antler operate across like 5 continents? How do you ensure like everything is consistent and the markets are different, the cultures are different? How do you kind of keep up with that?
Well, so there's a bit of a lag on the line, probably because I'm in Brazil. But how we do that is we have a very strong partnership. So if you look at the Antler partners, they run the various locations, and the highest position in Antler is partner. So it's kind of a decentralized organization in the true nature of blockchain, but we build global capabilities. So we build global technology capabilities, global networks. We meet VCs all across the globe. We have more than 3,000 VC relationships, more than 2,600 angel relationships. So there's global capabilities that we build, but it's a decentralized set of really amazing partners who are exited founders themselves, right? So, or they have a tremendous early stage investment track record. So, for example, if you look at India, Rajiv Sistra, who's one of the partners there, he built Urban Ladder, which is a big success there. And Nitin Sharma has more than 20 years of early stage investment experience, including backing more than, I think, 60 blockchain projects. We have Geo in Korea, who built the $750 million business. Then he built a new stablecoin business that he sold to Binance, and then he led Binance in Korea. You go here to Brazil, where I'm right now. You have Marcelo, who built Lendico, which is one of the biggest fintech successes and exits here in Brazil. If you go to Germany, we have the founder of Westwing. So you can kind of go to each of these locations, and you'll see that the Antler partners have tremendous experience building great companies in these locations, and or they have invested in early stage projects for 15, 20 years. So they're obviously a tremendous partner to the local founders as they're in the process of building a new business. And that's how the whole thing works, right? There's just no way I could drop into Brazil or Bangalore and think that I'm a better investor than the people who are there on the ground. We have exceptional people there who find the best founders and make the decisions locally. And I think through a decentralized partnership, much in the way that blockchain works, obviously oversimplified, you can deliver superior returns and a better product.
I have a question. Sorry, Kenny. I just keep interrupting.
You jump right ahead. This is a free discussion for everyone to just jump in and say whatever they like.
So I noticed that people are speculating, Magnus, that Mark Zuckerberg was your classmate. Is that true or false?
Sorry, you broke up there. I think there's a bit of a lag on the line. So can you repeat the question?
So there's a lot of speculation in our chat that Mark Zuckerberg was your classmate, or you were classmates with Zuckerberg. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, it's true. He was a couple of years ahead of me, but we were there on the same time.
Right.
Actually, one of our partners in Australia was his roommate. Now, I think it's an incredible example of what any aspiring founder that is on this chat can achieve, right? I remember when Facebook launched, I was amongst the first, I think, 100 or 200 people on the platform.
Okay.
And we kind of knew everyone on Facebook at the time, right? So this was this, small thing that worked well. It didn't have too much functionality. It was more you could kind of look people up, and you kind of already knew those people. And then you could poke them, right? That was the kind of only, you could click poke and they received the poke.
Yeah, I remember the poke. Yes, I remember the poke.
Yeah. So I think I still have a few people we do this annual poking thing with. But anyways, you saw that come out of a very small community, and then very rapidly, friends across the US came on the platform. They added new exceptional features. Friends in Europe then came on the platform, and you just saw how, one or two or three individuals with a group of really kind of energized people behind them very rapidly can change the world, right? And it obviously started the whole. You had seen social media companies before, but they were very different format, and obviously they grew to become reasonably big in one market. But this was the global e-commerce revolution and the global social network revolution, and it's just inspiring when you see those stories, and you're kind of you can be part of the company for the first time and see them grow and scale globally and have that amount of impact. And that's what I tell our founders as well is, hey, you should, because as a founder, you get no's a lot. You get no all the time, right? So, there are investors you reach out to who will say no. There are customers you try to get on board who will say no. There are journalists you'd like to write about you say no. There is people you try to hire who say no. Investors. So you get no's all the time. And any business in the world has had that. Like Facebook was really struggling with raising money in the first days. Spotify, famous Nordic example, they approached almost every single investor in Northern Europe, and everyone said no before they got the first one on board. And the same with customers, right? It's hard to get those first few customers, but as a customer, or as an investor, or as a journalist writing the first story, whatever it might be, as a founder, you have the responsibility to convert those people because you are building the next great thing, right? So you need to be, I think, comfortable with getting those and converting those into yeses, meeting more people who say no, because at some point somebody will say yes, and that's how you create the early momentum. And seeing that up front at an early age, it's insanely inspiring, and obviously it leads to the belief that if you hit the right thing, you can really be an impactful force in the world that increases productivity and makes people's life better. And obviously there are negative effects of everything. And Facebook currently, it's controversial in some circles, but I think all of us to a certain extent uses one of their products every day, whether it's WhatsApp, Instagram, or Facebook, and it's definitely made the world better than text messages, right? Which is
and
so
also the jump into metaverse. That's like, again, like they're trying to prove, like, again, no one. It's early days for it, but they're really backing it.
They're really backing the metaverse, which is amazing. Obviously, they're also very excited about blockchain and try to do a very big project on that, which for various, I think, regulatory reasons run into a bit of trouble. But they are now, I think the effort they're doing with an AI and open sourcing AI, right? They're literally doing the same thing as OpenAI is doing, but they are doing it closed. They're doing open source, right? So I think there's very interesting kind of product culture and culture within the company of having a large positive impact on the world. But obviously, as with any innovation, there are sometimes negative secondary benefits.
Yeah. Why don't we switch gears and go towards the questions about the show, Kenny?
Sure,
I have
let's do it.
You can go ahead.
Well, I've got tons of questions for you. First of all, I wanted to know what piqued your interest into Rightstream and the CryptoKnights project. What got you into
So I think it's very true to the Antler ethos. I want to meet exceptional founders that are building exceptional companies that are solving important problems, and I know a lot of them will come and meet us. It's a great opportunity, I think. If you look at the other people who are part of this, there's tremendous experience there of supporting thousands of companies and being incredibly successful. And it's always an honor and pleasure to be able to meet really great people who are at the early stage of that journey. And I've seen a number of the projects that are currently being evaluated, and there's some tremendous stuff there. So this is what I do every day. This is what I'm passionate about. Obviously, on top of my family and kids and so on. This is what I spend all my time doing, is working with exceptional founders that are trying to make great things happen. And this is a great format and forum to do so. And on top of that, what you guys have created is a tremendous platform, right? You're creating amazing opportunities for content providers to get their content out there, get that monetized in the right way. And now you're expanding that into a platform supporting not only content, but supporting exceptional founders that are building the next great thing. So, when Riaz mentioned this, it's, straight down the line of Antler's vision, which is to make progress inevitable, and excited to be part of that.
Absolutely. I want to know, like, when you're there, so you're on the set and you're filming, and it's like, when they come to kind of like pitch their ideas to you, like what are the key things or things that you particularly look for in projects that are going to be on the show? Like, what do you look for?
Well, so I mean, the most important thing for Antler, and always has been in my investment thesis and also in building companies, is the quality of the team, right? So it's insanely important that the team, each individual member of the team has, or at least the founding team has three characteristics. One is a clear spike. Do we see something there that this founder is better at than most other people? I think it's not important to be great at everything, but it's incredibly important to be amazing at something. And that's typically what founders do. They have a tremendous strength, and they leverage that to the utmost. And then they surround themselves with great people with different strengths. So I think that's number one. Number two is drive, right? I think drive sometimes is misconstrued or confused with passion. I think there's a lot of really passionate people out there, and it's great to be passionate. But unfortunately, passion in itself doesn't always lead to great things. I mean, I have a lot of passionate friends who've been talking about doing amazing things for a long time, but they never do it. So drive for us is really being incredibly ambitious combined with having shown the ability to execute. Right? Can you move things forward? And do you have a high enough ambition? I think great founders tend to be quite ambitious. And then the third aspect is grit, right? So building anything is insanely hard. I think in the blockchain Web3 space, not only do you have to deal with the technical challenges and the security challenges and all of that, but on top of that, you have to deal with a pretty complex regulatory environment globally, and you have to deal with these cycles that are pretty short. They're actually, at least historically, they have been. Let's see how it is going forward. But historically, you have these kind of short cycles, and these cycles can wreak havoc with the company unless the founders have tremendous amount of grit, right? Which means they have staying power. They have shown in the past that when they decide to do something, they will stick with it. They, when they hit that really hard moment, let's say, Elon Musk in the early days of SpaceX, when he blew up the last rocket, ran out of money, had to call all his friends, borrowed $300,000 from his brother to, cram together a new rocket, which finally made it to space. And, now they changed the entire space industry and are creating whole new industries through Starlink and soon, other things. That's what you see and you want to see. You want to see people who at that point of time won't give up, but they will find a way through and they will execute on their dream and solve an important problem and move civilization forward. And I think if you don't have that, it's almost impossible to succeed as a founder, right? Very often it's actually not the best team that wins, but it's the team that absolutely doesn't give up, and they stay through cycles, they stay through regulatory challenges, they stay through technological challenges, and they make it happen, right? So really want to see those three things in the founders, right? The spike, drive, and grit, and that you have two or three people that inherit those characteristics. I think that's by far the most important for us. And then obviously, depending on the stage, a number of other things becomes important around product market fit and the technology fit and all this type of stuff. But ultimately that's the core.
The point about grit, I mean, just thinking about the show, like that's something, it's going to be hard to determine on the show itself, but I think with our new format where we have the backstory, I think I told you, Magnus, that we'll be having this reality filming where we'll be following the projects wherever they are in their location and just doing their backstory and all that. I think that will be an interesting opportunity from us to find out more of the challenges that they faced and they overcame, so at least, I'm just thinking like what you as a judge or a knight want to see, right? And I think during the pitch day itself, it's really going to be hard to get that full depth, So we could try to extract the information from the reality filming. We've done some for the community listening right now. We've done some filming with some projects just to test it out, just to see what it's like. And we've done it with Magnus as well, right?
Yep.
When was that? That was last month, was it?
Yeah, it was a few weeks back. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think there are obviously, there are certain things you can see in a person's background when it comes to these things, but you can also capture it sometimes with a few questions and hear the responses. You can
Well, you're
get
the pro.
a
You're
pretty
the
good
pro.
idea. But
Yeah.
and then obviously just having the chance to spend time together. In Antler, we do that, right? We typically spend 2 to 3 months with the founders, where we support in finding great co-founders and support in validating the business model, creating early momentum, introduce to tier one investors, get the right talent on board, provide the right access to platforms, help expand globally through our network. And we have an advisory network about 1,000 people. We can also attach people to. So this is a process, right? It's what happens before, it's what happens during the filming, and it's obviously hopefully we get the chance to spend real time working with some of these projects subsequently, and they'll hopefully end up changing the world. So and there's always risk associated with this, right? Even if you're the best founder in the world, you have the best founder team, and you're working on something that perfectly makes sense. There's some risk involved in ensuring that you succeed. But I think as a founder and as a team and as an investor, you want to remove as much of that risk as possible, right? Which I think ultimately really, really comes down to, are you supporting the right people? Because the right people will find a way around, right? I saw in the comment field here, Airbnb, there was one trying to pronounce the name, but Airbnb can raise 100K at $1.5 million valuation. It's true, right? I think they struggled for almost 3 years to get going, and Airbnb has this value. They still have it today. If you look at their value statements, there's a value called being a serial entrepreneur, which I think is amazing. And it's not about having built multiple companies. It's literally that during the period of time they were setting up Airbnb, they didn't have any money. So they started selling cereal. They started selling breakfast cereal with Obama and McCain stickers on them. And that's how they funded their rent and the food they were eating as they were trying to build Airbnb, right? So, for 3 years, very little traction. And then they iterated and got product market fit through dual verification and reviews. And they introduced payment system, and suddenly it took off like crazy. And now they're a $100 billion plus company, right? So that's what you want to see in founders. You want to see that that ability to get through those really hard times. And we're excited to meet a lot of them during the project.
You talking about this is really giving me some ideas. We're going to have a call with the producers this week, and I'm taking down some notes here, right? I mean, we're always trying to kind of improve the format. And then what you said about you having to spend a little bit time with these projects, right? I don't think we thought about that. It was just, okay, go in, see the recording, pitch, boom. But I think I'm going to have a talk with the producers about this. Is there a possibility around this? I think that would be interesting, And, guys, Magnus is super busy. He's got a hard stop in like 7 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Kenny, why don't we just go straight to questions?
We'll go straight to questions. And if there's anything that you see, Magnus, that takes your fancy, and of course, Joseph, he'll jump in himself. I don't need to tell him. He'll jump in. But yeah, ask your questions. So if you have any questions, please write in the chat. We'll get to them.
I see one question. So Magnus, can I ask you? Okay.
Yeah, of course.
This is from our good buddy Kezia, right?
Of course.
Always ask like 2,000 questions every AMA, which is good. So he's saying how can we make it attractive for the non-crypto users? Was it by Kezia? Kezia, okay.
Yeah,
will the show only be attractive for crypto investors to watch? How will we get normies to understand the concept? And this is interesting, right? You met Sam, our producer, and he's really trying to make it as simple as possible for the non-crypto crypto people. As a judge, do you think you will be able to contribute? When you're talking to projects, trying to at least get that simple story out of these Web3 crypto projects.
I think so, right? And then fundamentally, I think very often, obviously, we're here focusing on projects that are utilizing a specific technology, right? But as an investor, I think one shouldn't really be a technology investor, right? So it's like, there are a lot of people who just want to build something within the technology, but that in itself doesn't really make sense, right? Like, what makes sense is that you're actually solving a real problem, right? That's where the greatest companies are being created, right? So we just happen to look at companies that are utilizing blockchain technology to solve those problems, right? But the problems they're trying to solve should be relatable, I think, to a wider audience, right? Whether it's infrastructure, deep tech, which can get a little bit more complex, or it's solving consumer problems or business problems, right? So I think sometimes it's the same with kind of AI, biotech, genome technology, blockchain. One tend to sometimes get stuck in on the technology side of things, which is obviously very important, right? You need to utilize the technology and optimize the technology to solve that problem. But ultimately, what the founder is doing is they're building a business, they're solving a problem, and I think everyone can relate to that, right? I think actually, if you talk to most people in the world, you have the American dream in the US, and you go to India, you have what you call Abmera Number. It's kind of my time now. If you go to Indonesia, if you go to almost any country in the world, a large part of the population is excited about innovation and the future, and that's what we're all part of, right? It's like driving the future and solving important problems. So I think that wider thing will be exciting to everyone, and then hopefully for the people who are deeper into blockchain, even if sometimes we have to simplify everything, it's probably very interesting to see a project solving amazing problems utilizing that tech, right? So I hope it's exciting for all audiences.
Yeah, and you should see how like I said, we filmed some of these guys pitching already, and Sam is like, no, simplify. No, simpler. He was just doing it again. He's getting them, and even these guys were discovering, wow, I did not know I could explain it so simply. So it was actually good for the projects as well. They're going through this process with us. But anyway, Magnus, have a look through the questions. Feel free to pick and choose whichever you want to answer, and we will stop at the 40-minute mark, right?
Yeah. So this is in the chat, right?
Yeah.
So okay. So have you invested in any gaming projects? Yes, we have. I think it's
they want to copy you, copy paste. Which one?
it's an exceptionally interesting space because I think for twofold. So one, obviously, it's gonna completely take over, I think, the entertainment space, right? I think more and more our entertainment is going to be interactive and have some gaming component. And obviously, if you look at the industry on its own, it's one of the fastest growing industries in the world with tremendous amount of potential. And you can now, I think one concept I'm very excited about is the time it takes great companies to get to 50 million customers, right? And that is, changing insanely fast. If you look at the airline industry, everyone has been on a plane. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people have been on a commercial airline at some point. And it took the airline industry 68 years to get 50 million customers. Now, wow. How long time did it take Pokemon Go to get 50 million customers? Anyone want to make a guess in the chat?
Right, chat.
Give you 5 seconds. Yeah. It took 14 days, right? So 14 days. So if you hit I think it took Facebook something like 2 years or 3 years. It might be more than that. But it took the TV industry like 40 years, right? So we live in this world right now where if you hit product market fit, particularly within gaming, you can service the entire world incredibly rapidly. So that's kind of one thing that makes it very interesting. The other thing that makes it very interesting is I think the blockchain space is very well set up to serve the gaming industry, right? So, one thing that is a little bit annoying is you spend so much time playing this game, solving important problems, and you build up resources and so on, and then the next game is released 3 years later, and you have to start from scratch again, right? So, this transferability of objects, purchasing the financial infrastructure behind gaming, the P2P part of gaming of people all across the globe rather wanting to play together than playing on their own against a computer. So it's just like the blockchain industry or the blockchain technology is very well set up to do really interesting things within gaming, and we're starting to see some of it, right? But there's so much potential to go, right? I think what is being done is kind of similar to what was done on the internet in the late 90s, right? So we're going to see a tremendous amount of innovation there, tremendous amount of value creation. So it's a really interesting area.
Cool.
Pick something else, or you guys want to pick something?
I have one question. I always like to know, like, what kind of knight, what kind of judge would you be? Are you going to be like the nice, sweet, empathetic guy, or are you going to be the one who's going to rip them to pieces, or are you going to be what kind of personality can we expect from Magnus?
Well, I think that in general, I think that I'm a rather nice guy to people, but at the same time, we're in the business of backing insanely great founders, building insanely great things, which is inherently very hard. And we are also in the process of managing other people's money and our LP's money on top of our own kind of hard-earned capital. So we're just going to back incredibly great companies, right? Like that's we're in the process that we're in, and unfortunately, if that's not the case and that's not a good fit for us, then we need to shoot it down. When that's said, I think as a founder, it's very important that when you get shot down by someone like me or anyone else, there's a high likelihood that we are wrong, right? I think Mark Andreessen came with this really great quote the other day where he spoke about LeBron James. So LeBron James is, the highest scoring NBA player ever, but he's also the guy who lost the most amount of shots, apparently. And I think as a VC investor, you got to be privileged to be put in front of exceptional founders and having the opportunity to back them, right? Like being in the position to do that, and I feel very privileged to be in the position to work and meet the founders during this program. But inherently, we are also many times going to be wrong, right? Because we are in a position to see a lot of really great projects, a lot of really great founders, and we need to make a decision to back some of them. So I think at the time where we are wrong and we are not backing you, that doesn't mean that you should give up. Like Spotify got no from, I think, 23 investors before the first person said yes, and they changed the world. And I think any founder has gone through that experience. But it's just the nature of being the game of having access to a lot of really great founders, and now and then you need to say no, but some of those might still go on to build really great things, right? And hopefully the program is going to be a great accelerator for that journey, even if they don't get our capital. So I think that's
an interesting idea for season 2. Season 2, we can recap some of the stuff you got wrong. That would be good.
Yeah, that would be good. Like a recap special, like, okay, what reflecting on what
you got wrong. I mean, look, you see it happens all the time, right? It'd be interesting, right?
It happens. I mean, it's because the more great opportunities you see, inherently, the more you're going to say yes to a lot of really great stuff, which is always the most important part. But you're also, unfortunately, inherently, given all the decisions you need to make. I think, last year we said no to 99,000 people. Like, amongst those 99,000 people, there's going to be some insanely great companies, right? So, just by having access to a lot of great investments, you're going to make mistakes. So yeah, I think that would be interesting for season 2. It's like to look back on the ones we didn't back, and hopefully some of them are doing insanely well, and then that'll be interesting in itself. But the important part is obviously that the ones we back do incredibly well.
Of course. All right, Kenny, I think we better wrap up.
We got to wrap up.
Yeah.
Magnus is a very busy man. He's going from one thing to the next. So, Magnus, I just want to say thank you so much for your time. We're really, really excited to see you on the show. Thank you for your thank you, and that's it.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And the reason why I have to jump off. I'd love to continue for much longer, but I'm in Rio de Janeiro here with the Brazil team. We're meeting a tremendous amount of great Brazilian founders here, and then I'm going on center stage at Web Summit to talk about venture capital in an hour and a half. So if anyone is in Rio de Janeiro, make your way over to Web Summit, and I'll see you there.
All right, Magnus, I got to catch up with you next week. Got some updates for you, and everyone. We're going to be announcing the third project in about 1.5 hours or 1 hour. So stay tuned. And we'll hear a lot more from Magnus soon. Magnus, thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Take care. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.